Matt, do you think the Lakers can win another title?
You bet.
Any advice for your opponents?
Better watch out.
Author Jeff Pearlman, welcome to the channel.
Good to be here. Thanks for watching the show. Appreciate it.
Definitely. Most people that there's mutuals with me on social media, they know I talk about it like all the time. So when I saw that, definitely we want to, cause more conversation around the show and, really talk amongst, word of mouth, for the show. I jumped at the opportunity to talk more about it. So
yeah,
definitely appreciate you again being here. And so really, let's really kind of just get right into it as far as just the story of as far as how the show is based off of your book, Showtime, right? And if you want to briefly kind of just touch on just first, how did that come about, getting, writing the book, the interest in doing the book at that time?
So I grew up in New York and I was a diehard New Jersey Nets fan. I was never a Laker fan. But when I was a kid, Lakers Celtics, I'm a child of the 80s, was a huge deal, like huge deal. And I remember watching those games and just freaking loving the Lakers, like loving being in New York, freezing your ass off and watching, the shots outside the Forum. They'd always zoom into the Forum and they'd say, live from the Forum in Inglewood today on CBS. They would show a shot of the beach and they'd show the Laker girls and they'd show the celebrities and they'd show Magic with his smile and Rambus with the glasses and Kareem with the guy. Everything about it was so magical. And I'm very nostalgic. So when I thought about books to write, I just really thought I like diving into my boyhood. And nobody wants to read a book about the 1985 New Jersey Nets. But the Lakers, the Lakers had something really snazzy. And they had stars and pizzazz and a following. They're like the Cowboys and the Yankees and Manchester United. They're international brands. So I just thought it was made for a good book.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So it's more of like a point of interest. What would draw the most interest, right? And like you said, it's Lakers, Yankees, Cowboys, probably, right? Like as far as sports, overall. So great choice. And you pick, obviously that's the time to pick is the Showtime run, and like it's already been talked about out there. Best-selling book, obviously inspired the show. And we really get to the show as far as with Winning Time. I have a one of my business partners. He writes a comic book, Mikey Sutton, and it was picked up for a streaming show, right? And it's really cool to kind of see that option to do that. Well, how did the opportunity come to you? There's hey, we want to adapt your book. That's were you even expecting that? Writing a book that they're going to adapt it, to something?
No, never. I've had so basically it's a long path. Your friend might know this too. I had a screenwriter named Jim Hecht approach me and say he loved the book and I want to make this into I think this would be a great so-and-so. And a lot of times I think writers make the mistake of thinking, oh man, my show is about to become, my book is about to become something. But there are 8 million steps between someone handing you a little money, or in this case, no money. They then shop it around. They have to write a screenplay. Someone has to show interest. So Jim Heck came to my house in 2014 and the show just came out last year, 8 years later. So it takes forever and ever, if it's ever even going to happen. So I never, until I was on an HBO set watching it film, I probably never really thought it was going to happen. I was very skeptical. So it's kind of just a bonus.
I bet.
Yeah, it's a cherry on top of my career. It's all it is. It's just like ridiculous.
Right. And sometimes it's chance meetings. Sometimes, you know what I mean? Just stuff happens. You mentioned Jim Heck. He's credited as one of the creators, and Max Borstein. But Jim Heck was kind of like the point man to kind of get, to adapt
before anyone had a vision about anything, Jim Heck came to me with a real vision about that there should be a show. So like when people say without your book, blah, 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 I guess that's fine. But the truth of the matter is Jim Heck had this vision that nobody else had. And he deserves, if you love him, he's the guy. He's your guy.
Interesting. So with this book being adapted, every week I run into these questions when people talk about the show, like, did this really happen? Is it really like this? And obviously people have different takes on, this person really didn't act like that, and things like that. If people didn't read your book yet, Jeff, like, is this show like a true adaptation of your book, or is more of like an inspiration for the show?
It's somewhere in between. I mean, a lot of this stuff, it's entertainment, so it's not a documentary. Right. They interpret a lot of the emotions and the actions and things like that. So it's not. There are things in that, like for example, in the first episode of season 1, they had the white party where Magic and Norm Nixon play one-on-one, and Norm's wearing a mink coat and blah blah blah. Like that didn't happen. That's supposed to be interpretive of the early stages of their relationships. So there's a lot of it is very true to the book, but some of it is definitely not.
So like that moment, like with the mink coat you mentioned, like that wasn't actually in your book. No. They did that for the show. I follow Rodney Barnes, one of the executive producers of the show as well.
Yeah.
And I love how he hammers it like, hey, this is just for dramatic purposes, it's entertainment, right? And it comes across, and it's unique for me, Jeff, because, I remember the Showtime run, as far as back I can remember. And so when different things happen, I'm just like, oh yeah, I know that, like Magic and Kareem wasn't at each other's throats like that, but it makes for a good show. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm good with it.
There's nothing that's like emotionally, I don't feel like the show is even slightly emotionally manipulative. Like they're not.
Right.
There was tension between Magic and Kareem. There definitely was tension between Magic and Norm Nixon. Paul Westhead was losing the team. Jack McKinney did land on his head from a bike accident. Pat Riley was just rising out of nowhere. Like it's legit emotional drama based upon legit emotional drama. So that's not made up, but they just, it's a TV show. It's not a documentary. Exactly.
You mentioned as far as the real life folks, but the cast of Winning Time, like Adrian Brody, like I loved when they flash forwarded to 1984, like when his hair slicked back, and then I call it like a peak Pat Riley, right? When they had that scene. But just throughout the entire cast, I mean, Quincy Isaiah, like I can't say enough about that guy. Like he has to smile like magic. And what do you think about this cast? Like it's such an ensemble, and everyone's bringing it every week, in my opinion.
I think it's ridiculous. I am so I'm just blown away. And what's really cool is like they took a lot of these guys. Like we all heard, or most of us heard of John C. Reilly and Adrian Brody and, Sally Field. But like Quincy Isaiah as Magic, Solomon Hughes as Kareem, Sean Patrick Small as Larry Bird. Like those are 3 guys who no one ever heard of before. They were unknown aspiring actors or aspiring writers, in Sean's case, who sort of fit into a role. And they're just great. And what I love, I've said this to Quincy a lot. I'm always like, you're just like, aren't you ever like, this is crazy? You're in an HBO show. John C. Reilly, you're co-starring. And it really is. Like Quincy Isaiah, I think is really going to be a star. I just think he is. I think he has charisma and pizzazz, and he's a good-looking guy, and he's smart, and I just think he has it. And I will take so much pleasure if 20 years from now, even if he's just a regular working actor and he's enjoyed his career and he's really felt this all, if that all stems from this show, that'll be just beautiful for me, truly beautiful for me.
And then this is a real, this could be a real breakout role. I mean, it's definitely getting him attention because, like I said, he's just nailing any like Magic Johnson moment. Like it's really cool seeing that. You mentioned John C. Reilly. He is like, goodness, just a perfect Jerry Buss, right? And Solomon Hughes. the Larry Bird guy, Sean Patrick Small, is killing it. Like, and we're gonna talk about this latest episode in a moment, but that he may be like the breakout star of the show. It's Sean
Definitely
Patrick
this
Small.
season. Definitely this season. I feel like Sean is. Yeah, and he I've been telling people this. He came down and played basketball with me a few weeks ago. I play Saturday morning pickup, and he shoots just like Bird. Like they're restructured. He actually has the above the head.
The overhead, yeah.
He shoots just like Bird. I mean, he's not as good as Bird, but he's really good actually. And yeah, that's cool. That scene when he's at Indiana State playing in that game with boots and jeans is one of my favorite moments of television. I've probably watched it 15 times already.
That is really cool. And rounding up with the cast, and real quick in the chat, if y'all sending in questions, I will touch on that in just a moment after talking about the cast, and then we'll round out by talking about episode 3. I definitely want to get Jeff's takes on some moments in episode 3. And as far as with the cast as well, Jason Clarke, Jerry West, little controversy, I guess, with some people first season. Again, it's entertainment. Jason Clarke, he's bringing it again as Jerry West, really that dynamic of him and Westhead and everything like that. Another standout for me. And I think one like unsung that enough people are not talking about is DeVaughn Nixon, who's literally the son of Norm Nixon, right? Yeah. Playing the role, which, I mean, again, standout cast, man. Really good stuff with that.
DeVaughn, actually, interestingly, I feel like a lot of people don't know this, played Whitney Houston's son in The Bodyguard.
I did not know that. That's crazy.
First time I met him, we were talking on set during the pilot, and he's like, I was talking about his background. He's like, I play the kid in The Bodyguard. And I was like, you're Spencer? And he's like, yeah. I was like, oh my God, that's crazy. I was supposed to marry Whitney Houston. So yeah. I was. I don't know why you're laughing. Whitney and I were meant to be together.
Oh, really? I was like, I know I was like laughing like it was a joke. But
then Bobby came along. Then Bobby came along with his offer. Yeah. So
damn it, Bobby. Wow. That's a little known fact right there. Amazing.
Yep.
Whitney Houston, I mean, goodness, the greatest voice ever, you know, and yep. Just music overall. Like, wow.
Yep.
Did not know that. And let's see, we got people commenting about Larry Bird shot, and yeah, definitely. Hey, Jeff Pearlman got some connections out here, huh? Real cool. We got one question for you, and then we're going to dive into this episode 3 real quick here. Okay. And let's see, Austin says, Jeff, what do you feel was your biggest hurdle during the process of adapting your original work to be a show? How'd you overcome those obstacles or deal with them?
Well, I think the biggest obstacle, to be honest, is the slow-moving nature of Hollywood. And it's actually insane. Like, everything takes forever and ever and ever. It just does. You can talk to anyone who works in this business, and I don't really work in this business, but everything moves at a snail's pace, and you just think it's never going to happen. And you're like, it's never going to. I'll tell you a story. My first book was about the 1986 New York Mets. It was called The Bad Guys Won. And that might have been my first book that someone optioned. And I met the guy. He took me to the Soho House in LA, which is kind of a famous place, place to schmooze and be seen. And you need a membership and blah, blah. And this guy takes me there, and he's like, this guy, and he wants to buy the book. And he takes out his phone. He recently got divorced. He takes out his phone and he starts scrolling through pictures of naked and half naked women that he took. And he's like, I had sex with her. I had sex with her. I had sex with her. And I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Like, it's just Hollywood gross, and it's slow moving, and it's weird. And you just never think
that is weird.
You never think anything's going to happen. You just never think anything's going to happen. It takes patience. And so the main thing was I just, honestly, God, never thought it was going to happen, and just kind of gave up on it all. And it happened.
Yeah. That's it. That's how it goes. Like you say, sometimes you just get that break when you get it. It says, I wonder, does Jeff watch the NBA now? If so, who's his favorite player?
It's so funny. My son and I just did our least favorite player. We just did our roster of least favorite players. Can I give you real quick my least favorite starting five? Trae Young has to be number 1 with Kyrie in the backcourt. You put Harden, we'll play him at small forward, but James Harden has to be on there with Luka. I can't watch either of those guys. Harden and
Oh, look.
and then wait, did I have a center? I guess I would go Embiid at center, even though he hasn't really done anything wrong. He's just not a big money player. But man, I mean, I have to say,
the
my
heck of a
favorite
starting
players,
five right there, I would say.
I know, but I can't watch any of them, and I think no one wants to play with them. I would say favorite player right now in the NBA. I grew up a Nets fan. I really do like Jalen Brunson a lot. I like the way he plays. I like hard-nosed guy. Jalen Brunson is just a hard-nosed Villanova dude. I really kind of respect like the way he plays. So probably
So you said you grew up a Knicks fan, right?
No, I grew up a Nets fan. I grew up a
Nets fan.
Yeah,
okay, so you're not messing with the current iteration of the Nets, like what just happened with that. But I know the Kyrie thing. Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad they burned it down. They had to because it was such a disaster. And they were I've never seen a team less likable than the Brooklyn Nets with Harden, Durant. Oh, Durant might be in my squad too, actually. My least favorite.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, I thought you want Durant on that one.
Durant's just he just seems so dour all the time. And like, he always looks like he's smelling a fart. Like, he just looks all unhappy. And like, I get it. Maybe you aren't happy and maybe you have trauma going on in your life. I don't know. But like, you like people who exude the joy. And I will say, like, I'd never seen much of the Denver Nuggets, but to watch Jokic play was, it was like watching art. It really was like watching art.
Oh, yeah. Even as a Lakers fan, I love the game overall, like just the NBA overall. So it's like, I respected that the Nuggets, kicked our ass, right? But it's like, I was like, yo, Jokic is a beast, man. I can't front.
I don't even know what bad you could say about him and Jamal Murray. They both just like play hard. They're really good. They're really talented. They're both team players. Like, like what? Even if you're a Laker fan and hate the Nuggets, it's kind of like it's hard to hate Steph Curry. Like, he's not very hateable. Even if you can't stand that team, there's just some guys are hard to hate.
Yeah, that is probably true. I mean, and like you said, as far as with the current Knicks, what do you think they still need? I think they're still a player away. Like they got Julius Randle, but Josh Hart. I think they picked up DiVincenzo. Like, do you see them really doing anything?
No, but all those years. I'm from New York, so considering all those years of just being irrelevant, at least they're relevant. At least they're like a top 5 team in the East. And I don't know. I thought they were going to move Randall, or at least try to move Randall this offseason.
They should move Randall.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. I do think he's a good player, but I don't know. He's not going to carry your franchise, obviously.
He's not going to be like that reliable number 2 guy. Like, Brunson was literally playing by himself against the Heat at certain times.
Yeah.
And, now the rumor out there, you may not like it, but there's the rumor is Julius Randle. They may package that to try to get Embiid if he gets disgruntled with the 76ers. So
that's such a fan thing to say, though. That's like a fan rumor. Like
it probably is.
Daryl Morey is really going to want to trade Joel Embiid for Julius Randle. You know what I really want? After watching Julius Randle not play well last year, I really want him on my team. I mean, he played okay. He's not that's come on.
I feel you.
Yeah.
I feel you on that. So good stuff there. We'll see what happens as far as with the NBA. Let's get into our episode 3 talk real quick here before we end it off. And again, if there's any other questions for Jeff, throw it in the chat. We will pick that up right after this little conversation here. So episode 3, again, anytime I watch Winning Time, I try to catch that podcast that Rodney Barnes was doing, after the show as well. And, really have been enjoying it. What was really cool about this episode opening up, you have 1981, because we know the last episode, the Lakers lose first round. And it starts off with the Celtics. They won the championship that year. And I thought, like, it was just a awesome premise because, this is real life. Like, Magic came in, won the championship rookie year, but compared to Bird the whole time. Next year, Lakers lose, but the Celtics go to the finals and win it. I just love how the show is structured, and I love like where it's almost like Magic and Bird. They're like passing messages to each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What do you think about that style? Like how the producers and the directors is doing? It's like, it gives the show like a lot of character, in my opinion. What do you think of those choices?
I think it's cool. People love the Magic Bird dynamic. I love the Magic Bird dynamic. I look back at that era, and that's what you think of first and foremost is Magic Bird Magic, 2 guys you faced off in the 1979, college championship game and became parallels of each other. and I think it's really well done. And it's actually a pretty good reminder that Bird and Magic were much more similar than they were different. Like they were both really blue collar, Midwestern, hard nosed, would kill you to win, not overly athletic, but good athletes, like just winners who could carry franchises to a different height. And I think the show really shows. Well, I think the Bird emergence this season is really cool. It's like it's a cool side parallel storyline to the Lakers, that this guy is lurking and also humanizing him a little bit. You know, like he's not just an asshole. He's a guy with a story, and there's a reason he became that way. You know,
right? And if those out there haven't read your Showtime book, do you go that much into Larry Bird's story? Because there's some stuff like I knew about. So they really are putting
they researched the book really well. I mean, the show very well, and they used my book, but they also read 8 million other books and articles and interview transcripts. And Larry Bird had a really good autobiography with Bob Ryan of the Boston Globe called Drive that came out probably 30 years ago. And I know that was a major source of material. So the show did their if you walked in their research room back when it started, it was just overflowing with books and materials of different sorts, not just my book.
Yeah. So I thought that was real interesting that this episode really is, the premise of it. It's a Larry Bird episode. And again, me as a lifelong Lakers fan, obviously I hated Bird, back then, but in hindsight, just loving the game, I was like, Bird was the best player in the world in that stretch, I think, until the Lakers, probably after 86, because he got hurt probably. But I thought Bird was the best player in the world, right? So just a fan of the game, I thought it was really cool to get his insight of his background, in this episode, right? So, and again, it took me years to admit that. It's almost like a side note. As a football fan, I actually was born in Chicago. Somehow I became a Lakers fan. Long story, but I'm a Bears fan. But I moved to Indianapolis, so I was a Colts fan when Peyton Manning basically built the city. So I hated Tom Brady when Tom Brady was playing, right? But I finally came to grips, like, Brady was probably actually good. He probably was actually good. I hated him the whole time, but
yeah, of course. And then later you really appreciate him, and you sort of can dig. Also, like, it's more fun with villains. It's more fun having guys to root against, and Brady, blah, blah, even the frustrations they add to the whole fan experience. And at the end of the day, we don't really hate these people. Like, you don't hate them like I hate like Donald Trump. Like I hate Larry Bird. But, I hate Larry Bird because if I were a Laker fan, I'd hate Larry Bird because he's so freaking good. Right. And you don't know what kind of show he's going to put on. That's part of it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's just fandom, which is cool because it doesn't really matter. That's what's fun about it.
Exactly. I totally agree. So further in the episode, my captions ain't that probably that big on there, but basically you got this moment again. I love the creative choices. The show feels like quirky in a good way, right? And so I love when Magic's like almost like hallucinating at times. Anything these kids are talking shit to him about Larry Bird, and it's like it's that juxtaposition. But again, that was that real rivalry in a sense where they were, looking at the box scores of each other. Magic, Bird, Lakers, Celtics. Every game, you know what I mean? And I just love, again, just how the show puts that out, moments like this.
I agree. I'm telling you, it's a great TV show. It really is. And I just feel really good about it. Like, it'd be very easy for me. It would have been a lot easier and a more likely path for someone to buy the rights in my book, it become a show, and the show sucks. Because there's so much sucky TV out there. There just is. Or it's mediocre, it's forgettable. They're lazy about it. They get some like celebrity to play Magic Johnson, but he has no feel for Magic Johnson, or they just pluck some white guy out of so-and-so to play Larry Bird who can play basketball. They didn't do that. They weren't lazy about it. They were precise and deft. And I will tell your audience this, I really mean this. We need viewers for this show. Like this show, there's no guarantee this show continues. And during the strikes, we have writer strike, we have an actor strike. It's very hard to promote. A lot of people seem to not even know the show is on right now. And they check viewership totals very seriously and take it very seriously. So I really beg if you want this really cool, well casted, well thought out show that employs a lot of people to keep going, I hope people watch it.
Definitely. And that's the message, really, because a lot of people I've talked to, Jeff, where, I'm like, hey, I've been watching the show, check it out. A lot of people are like, well, I'm going to wait and binge it later. It's like, no, that's literally the worst thing to do right now. Like, you need to
Binge it
watch these
now.
episodes as they
Don't
come
binge
out.
it later. Binge it now. Binge the first 4 seasons
Right.
episodes now.
You got a few to catch up with right now. Or hey, binge season 1, but like watch season 2 like as it comes out, because
Exactly.
for the viewership.
Yeah.
And I think I caught something that either you or someone else said, that this season, I mean, I guess not to spoil, the season's going to end, but it's going to end in 1984. And I'm just like, no, as a Lakers fan, I'm like, no, like that's like the middle of the story right there. Like,
also, the Celtics win in 1984. So
yeah, exactly. You're going to leave me with that cliffhanger. It's like, no.
I'm with you 1 million %.
We got to get 85. We got to get 87. Like, come on now.
I'm with you, man. I'm 100% with you.
I swear, man. So further in this episode here, you have Jerry Buss. He's trying to figure out what happened with them losing in the first round of 1981 playoffs. You got the Paul Westhead thing here. So this is let's see. I just had the gentleman's name here. Jason Segel. Okay, Jason Segel playing a great role as Paul Westhead. Now, a lot of people are wondering, like, okay, was he really this squirmy, like this, like a pushover? I don't believe he was like literally like that, but I mean, it's for the dramatization. He's doing a great job with it. Yeah. I believe Riley and Westhead actually had a pretty cordial relationship, years after this, with that. So, but again, for the show, this plays really well. Jerry Buss is like, why did we lose, right? So very interesting. It goes into more of the Larry Bird situation here, where this really happened. His father took his own life, right?
Correct.
And again, it's getting more into Larry Bird's like story that, again, just I knew nothing about. You know what I mean? Yeah. Again, as a Lakers fan, and it shows his rise as far as playing in pickups games. And you mentioned that moment with the jeans, which is a really good scene in the show as well. So again, Sean Patrick Small is killing it as Larry Bird, and I'm loving it. And like I said, y'all, if y'all are not watching this, y'all missing some great performances, with a great cast. You see his jump shot form. That's how he really shoots, right? You said, right? Sean shoots just like that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Exactly. Yeah, it's cool.
It jumps forward. Jones gets traded. Now, I always do with my reviews, Jeff, I always kind of, again, as someone who historically I look at everything that happened with the Lakers, and when Jones was traded, he didn't try to tear up the offense or anything like that, but it was more of a, hey, we kind of need you in this deal, to move you for a cup check, I believe. If most Lakers fans know,
Jones is a consultant on the show, and he.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Jones is a consultant on the show, and actually that scene. So an actor named Newton Mayenge plays Jones, and he's really, really good. And he's the same actor who, in the episode earlier, when Westhead says, "I call it the system," and Newton, as Jones says, "The system? That ain't sexy." And Newton is really, really good, and Jones is really helpful in the show. He kind of gives a lot of really good insight and evaluation. So having Jones,
that's awesome.
Yeah, Jones has been very helpful. He's a very nice guy
Oh,
too.
Man. I swear, man. And I think you made a comment before. You was like, you got such a great cast. I mean, Sally Fields, but Jerry Buss's mother, passed away in season 1, so she's no longer in the show. And it's just, you got such a wonderful cast. But I guess the drawback is that, but when their story's over in this show, you kind of lose a great cast member.
It happens. What can you do? You can't,
Yeah.
It's still, I still think
it's story.
Sally Field was in a TV show based on a book I wrote. That's kind of, it's kind of neat.
That's definitely neat. More attention here with Westhead and Riley. Again, playing up with the drama, and it plays very well if you love those dramatic moments. We get to when Magic Johnson gets a 25-year contract, which I feel Jerry Buss, I feel he knew the economics of this game was going to explode. He got ahead of this I think the Bulls did this as well with Michael Jordan. Like they got him like in a dirt cheap deal for multiple years because they knew the TV revenue was going to go up. I mean, smart business. It showed commitment to Magic, but definitely smart business. I feel what Jerry West did right there.
Definitely so. Yeah, it sounded like it's funny because now in sports that sounds like nothing. 25 million, 25 years. What are you talking about? Like NIL deal pays more than that. It's like, so yeah.
I swear. It goes to more of the Norm Nixon conversation and the whole thing of was there jealousy between Nixon and Magic? I believe that was true. As far as just there was some, some tension there, right?
100%.
Yeah,
a lot of it. Yeah, so that's legit.
And I believe I believe the bus like took him like on a trip together. Like he really was working on the team chemistry because Norm Nixon was a hell of a player. A lot of people don't talk about him, but he helped win a couple of championships, for the Lakers.
Norm Nixon was great, and they did go away together. And Norm Nixon was traded to the Clippers for the rights to Byron Scott. So not only was he a good player, but they wound up with another good player. So
they flipped it pretty good. And rounding out this episode, you have Larry Bird returning home. You kind of saw his journey going, getting into college, doing this thing, and then coming back home full circle in 1981 after winning the title. But on the top right there, I mean, Bird, he's happy he won, but he's looking at Magic. All right, Magic show. He's looking back at 79 that I gotta beat this dude here, right? So, man, if y'all have any interest at all in just sports dramas or just what really happened with Showtime, one of the greatest eras in sports history, man, you got the sports villains, as people was talking about in the chat. This show literally has it all. I mean, like I said, if you're a sports fan, I think you want to just check this out just because it's the backdrop of this whole thing. So very great episode again. Episode 3. We're going to be waiting for episode 4 per usual here. Now, before we close out, we have a few comments that people may want to highlight. Let's see. Oh, he's saying Bird is that dude. I really like him, but as a basketball fan, you got to respect him. Yeah, he was kind of commenting on what you were saying with that, Jeff. Austin says, will you come back for episode 4 recap? This has been phenomenal.
Oh, yeah, sure. My pleasure.
Definitely.
All right,
Let's do it. We'll figure out a good time or a good day as well. Again, I'm always watching the show as soon as it comes out, and me and Jeff will work out something. That's what it sounds like, right? So before we close out, Jeff, any last things you want to throw out there, promote, or anything from your end?
Watch the show. Tell your friends to watch the show. The show is fighting for survival. Like it needs viewers. That's just the bottom line. Because of the strike, the actors are not available to promote it. It's a weird time in Hollywood, so like seriously, it actually matters. This isn't like when sometimes people feel like, what difference does my vote make? Blah, blah, blah. It actually matters right now. This stuff is important. So if you like the show and want to support these actors in this show, please, give it a watch.
Definitely. I appreciate you coming on, Jeff. And y'all heard the man. Again, if y'all are liking this story, the insight and just the entertainment of it, don't wait to binge it. Watch it now. Binge the first couple episodes now and catch up with us. And we'll have Jeff back next week to talk about some more. So appreciate you again, sir.
All right.
Shout out to the chat.